Since the last video, I've moved the carving on a little bit, what I'm calling refining. In other words, I'm taking what we've done just now, the big pieces, and I'm just taking more wood away, coming a bit nearer and nearer to our finished piece, but keeping the same planes and so on. So let me show you now the sort of thing that I did and am doing during this stage. One of the first things I did was to bring this hand back here, the back of the hand, and take wood away from the wrist. So I've made the whole wrist a bit slimmer. And then one of the things I said earlier that was important was this little bone here. So I ran a deep gouge around here, and that created this little hill. That's all we need to do for the moment. And as this went round, as you can see, it's coming around here, I took wood away from here. So that's this big fleshy bit here, the muscles here, again making the wrist a bit thinner. So I've come down here across here, keeping this reasonably flat, and then making sure it goes round, and there's a nice curve here. So thinning the wrist was one of the first things that I was able to do. And I think you can see how much thinner that is. Pull this back here, because this will be cut off, but it goes thinner and thicker. And of course around here there aren't any muscles, but they're all up here. So this is fairly thin really on a wrist. So looking at the hand itself, I'm not really that happy where my hole has gone, but that's all right. It'll be what it'll be. The hole is here. That's just there. So I've kept my knuckle and my knuckle here, but this is sloping back and round here. So again, you know, I was taking wood from here, slightly lower and across here, and then down here. And as I took some away from there, the thumb started coming out more. So the thumb, which is going to be sticking up, is quite strong. And then from there I turned to this part underneath, and keeping an eye on these knuckles, started pulling this down here. So again, just working this down like this, not undercutting or anything yet. So it looks a bit odd because we've got these strong sharp lines for knuckles, but there'll be this knuckle here, then another knuckle there, and then if you look at this bottom edge, this part will stick out more than the finger. And the fingers actually, you can see, will come up there a little bit, or tight in, and it comes tight to this little groove. So all this muscle here sort of creates this little shadow. This groove is all crushed together as it does that. So this finger here, this little finger, comes in like this. It's pointing down and in. And in fact, we can put our V tool around that. And then this over here is where that groove is going down towards the wrist. Something like that for the moment. So I've got, you can see the shape here is sort of rounding a little bit. So I'm looking at my hand, looking at the photographs, allowing for a bit of muscle here. This is pointing in. Just looking at the photograph, taking away bits of wood, and trying to get this more or less a bit more like a fist shape. Still wood to come away, but I think you can see it's beginning to look a little bit more like the fist. And now we've got to sort of start thinking about how this works in here, separating the fingers and so on, and refining it even a little bit more down here. you can start bringing the fingers, the digits, down into this hole where the tube goes. Bear in mind that there's a crease just here. I can mark that in here, where, you know, this bit comes over. So in fact we can probably just put that in with a V-tool just for the moment, just to suggest it. So there's a crease there. There's also a crease from this knuckle here. Just mark that in lightly, and this is all coming down. And then as you come here, there's a sort of fold happening. I don't know if you can see that sort of fold here as it all comes in this direction. Then we have a knuckle here, this big one there. We have this one here, and the bone will come down here, the bones will come down there, and between the two there's a sort of, I've got a bit of a muscle here, hope you can see that there, but often there's a hollowish part there, so you don't need to make that too big. But so when you're getting this from here, you can start thinking about how that looks at the back, and if you put your finger over there like that on the profile, you can see what looks right and what doesn't. So I can see there's wood to come off here, the back of the wrist still, and over here. So don't go too far with this, just suggesting it, because this is still refining, we're not into details. And then over here. Here's what the hand's looking like now. You can see all my rough cuts, I think. I've made the wrist slimmer so that the fist is much more of a lump on the end. It's tapering in here. There's more detail to go in perhaps, but you can see that that's beginning to look more like a hand. So what we need to do now is leave the top bit, that's all right for the moment, and then just come and work the bottom bit. The little fingers and so on, this part a little bit more, move it further on.